Today we're thinking about snowdrops. Snowdrops are the first plants to flower each year in our garden. Flowering seems to mark the new year, the start of a new gardening year and the promise of spring just around the corner. In our garden, the snowdrops flower between mid-January and early March. The snowdrops' beautiful white flowers are really the first signs of life in the garden after a long, cold winter. And here we've got some of the last of the snowdrops in our garden. Most of them are over, past their best. These are some of the last ones in our garden. What we're particularly talking about today is growing snowdrops and propagating them, making more plants, and also thinking about ways in which you can buy them, which you can start off as well. Now what I've got here are some clumps of snowdrops that we've just dug up out of our garden. The clumps are getting quite big. If we look at this clump here in particular, you can see that there are a lot of snowdrops in this clump. So when you get to this stage, it's very easy to dig these clumps up and to divide them and to replant and to start new clumps of snowdrops. It's a really good way of propagating. Now here I'm trying to actually pull some of the snowdrops apart. So we had one great big clump there. I've already made one smaller clump. I'm now going to pull another clump apart. This is a second clump. Probably what's left here can remain in a third clump. So from the one large clump of snowdrops, we've now made three, and we will in a moment or two take these to different parts of the garden to plant them, so that next year they will be flowering again. And each year they will multiply and the clumps will bulk up and we'll get more and more snowdrops and we can repeat the procedure. So if you already have snowdrops in the garden, once they get to this sort of stage, just simply think about splitting them up to make new clumps, and each of those new clumps will then soon bulk up and will become a lovely drift of snowdrops. You can also propagate the snowdrops in other ways as well. You can, if you wish, when it gets to the right stage, actually remove the seed heads, and you can collect the seed and scatter the seed, sow the seed into pots to grow on. Or if you wish to, there are other ways as well. Those are a little bit more complicated, and we'll keep it nice and simple for the moment. So that's basically how we're going to do our propagation. Now if you don't have any snowdrops in your garden at all, you can easily buy the bulbs. Now at the moment, this is sort of early springtime, the snowdrops are just finishing. You can actually buy snowdrops, bunches of snowdrops, in what is called the green. Buy them in the green, with the green leaves still attached. So from garden centres, even mail order, you can actually buy bunches of snowdrops in the green, which you can then plant as soon as you get them, and you can then establish a bed of snowdrops in that way. At other times of the year, you can just simply buy the bulbs. When the green leaves have died back, there will be bulbs left, and you can actually buy bags of bulbs as well to start your snowdrops. So that's a very good way to actually start a border of snowdrops. And when it comes to January, February, March sort of time, then you get beautiful drifts of snowdrops in the garden. And it really is a beautiful sight, and it really does show you promise for what is going to happen during the rest of the year. We're now going to take these snowdrops that we have dug up and separated, and we're going to replant them. So we'll continue in just a moment. We've now come to another part of our garden where we're going to be planting snowdrops that we've just dug up. This is a bank area. We like to have a drift of snowdrops along the bottom of the bank. Unfortunately, there are some gaps, so we want to really fill in the gaps with some of the snowdrops we've dug up from another part of the garden. So quite simply then, we take the small clumps of snowdrops that we've just dug up, and we're going to put them into the holes. In the holes there's already some nice rich garden compost, so we simply put the snowdrops into the holes and we just press in the compost and the soil around. Okay, so we firmly press that one in. We'll do the same to this one. So again, we put a clump of snowdrops into the hole. We're pushing the compost around, we firm it in. And as with all plants, when they're planted out into the garden, they will need a good watering. So we're going to water in the 2 clumps of snowdrops. After a bit I will actually give them another drink as well. Snowdrops like a nice rich soil, a rich fertile soil. Certainly in our garden they like a nice rich fertile soil. They like to be quite damp, not too wet, but certainly if they're on a bank like this, then you need to make sure that you do water them sometimes during the summer, because they don't like drying out. The bulbs really need to be a little bit moist most of the time. Preferably a shady or semi-shady position is best for them. We certainly find here that if they're in direct sunlight all the time, they don't grow as well as if they're in semi-shade or even permanent shade. But hopefully those snowdrops will establish well, and by next springtime we'll have a lovely display of snowdrops all the way along the bank. As I've said before, you can buy these bunches of snowdrops from a good garden centre or even mail order. At this time of the year, right at the beginning of spring, it's called buying them in the green. You buy clumps in the green. Later in the year you can buy the bulbs on their own without the green stems and leaves attached. I have done that in the past, but in my experience they don't actually grow as well as if you will buy them in the green. Or if you've got friends who have got snowdrops, maybe theirs are bulking up, you might even be able to beg some snowdrops from them. Anyway, I hope that you do plant some snowdrops and that you have a really beautiful display early next year as a precursor to the growing season. It'll really make you think about the spring